Have you ever noticed how certain individuals seem to hold an almost magnetic influence over their surroundings, without uttering a single word? That's where the power lies. When you no longer make yourself constantly available, emotionally, physically, mentally, the world starts to unravel. People who are used to managing you through your emotional reactions, through your predictable responses, lose their grip. The day you choose detachment, the rules change, and suddenly, those who thought they knew you realize they never really did. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." So think, when you become unavailable, who gets upset? Who feels the urge to provoke you just to get a rise? Their reactions reveal more about them than they do about you. They show how easily your energy is still being pulled, often without your awareness. You give so much, just to avoid conflict, to hold on to people who were never truly with you. And every time you give an automatic yes, reply immediately or react emotionally, you hand over a fragment of your energy. Then at the end of the day, what's left? Exhaustion, frustration, a hollow feeling you can't quite name. Here's why. You're too available for those who haven't even earned a second of your silence. This message isn't about rejecting the world, it's about choosing yourself. About embracing what Jung called the path to individuation, the journey toward becoming your true, whole self. That journey begins when you realize silence can be more potent than 1,000 arguments, and retreating, when it's conscious, not escapist, is an act of profound strength. So I ask you, really look within. How much longer will you let the emotions of others pull your strings? How many more times will you dance to the tune of your wounds being poked? Maybe it's time to step back, to let go, to become an enigma, because once you stop being overly accessible, everything starts to change. We're conditioned from childhood to be ever present, to respond instantly, to say yes even when we want to scream no. We've been led to believe that our worth is measured by our availability. But here's the truth, spoken with clarity. Being constantly available is not a noble trait. It's a trap. And as long as you cling to the idea that you must always be accessible, you'll be drained, manipulated, and cast aside the moment you're no longer useful. Why? Because predictability becomes a tool. People begin to treat you like a panic button, pressing you for attention, reassurance, or distraction. And when they've gotten what they need, they set you aside. But you don't see it because you're stuck in the illusion that your presence for everyone will somehow guarantee someone will be there for you. But it doesn't work like that. Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to gain love, approval, and acceptance. And it's this mask that fuels our excessive availability. You pretend everything is fine while you're suffocating. You reply to every message even when you're burned out. You justify, explain, defend like you owe the world something. But the more you center your life around others' needs, the more you fade from your own. Being available all the time is a quiet betrayal of yourself. It's disguised as kindness, but often it's fear. Fear of being rejected, of not being seen, of losing control over how others perceive you. And this control comes with a heavy price. Your peace, your energy, finite and precious, is being scattered like it's limitless. People who demand constant access to you don't actually want you. They want what you offer: validation, entertainment, emotional relief. But when you change, when you draw a line, when you stop reacting, they push back. They label you as distant, difficult. Not because you've done something wrong, but because you've stopped being useful to them. Here's the brutal truth. The more accessible you are, the less others appreciate you. What's abundant is taken for granted. What's always there is seen as expendable. So take a moment, reflect. Who truly deserves your energy, your time, your attention, or perhaps more importantly, your absence? But before we answer that, let's ask, why do we react so much? Why do we feel this compulsion to respond, to explain, to please? Carl Jung believed it comes down to one core element: psychic energy. That's what we'll explore next, because your energy is your greatest asset, and if you don't protect it, others will exploit it. Jung didn't view the psyche as a simple reaction machine. He saw it as an energetic system. Every thought, emotion, and decision consumes energy. The real question is, are you deciding where your energy flows, or are you letting others choose for you? Every impulsive reaction is a leak. Arguing to prove a point, justifying yourself to someone who doesn't care, pleasing people who deplete you. This is energy wasted. Jung warned us, what you resist persists. The more you react, the more entangled you become. Emotional exhaustion doesn't mean weakness, it means misdirection. And when you're drained, you become vulnerable. And vulnerability attracts manipulators, opportunists, and emotionally needy people. They notice when you don't protect your energy, when you're trying to fix everything, solve everything, be everything, and they take advantage. Jung believed a healthy mind knows how to keep energy within. That means saying no without guilt, remaining silent without shame, watching before acting. Real power isn't in reacting, it's in choosing when and whether to act at all. And this only comes with self-awareness, when you know your own triggers and recognize your patterns. How many times have you lost sleep over a conversation you replay endlessly in your mind? How many times have you fed ghosts that should have been laid to rest? These are energetic hemorrhages. Leaks you don't even see. But when you learn to hold your energy, something changes. You develop presence. People feel your strength without you saying a word. But if you mismanage it, you become invisible, reactive, drained. So start noticing what triggers you, what throws you off balance. Those are the weak points in your system. And those are the areas you need to guard, not to become cold or indifferent, but sovereign. Jung taught that protecting your energy breaks the illusions others project onto you, and that frightens them, because now we enter darker territory, subtle manipulation. In the next part, we'll uncover how these energy vampires operate, and how your silence disarms them completely. It's time to recognize who has been draining you all along. You might think you're in control, that your reactions are your choices. But often they're programmed responses, and those who understand this manipulate you effortlessly. They don't need to yell or push, they just know which emotional buttons to press. Carl Jung called this projection, where people see in others what they cannot face in themselves. But here's the flip side. The more emotionally available you are, the more of a blank screen you become for these projections. You know that friend who only calls when they're in crisis? That partner who always needs rescuing? The one who praises you, but only when you serve their needs? That's not coincidence. They're relating not to you, but to the role you've agreed to play. And why do you keep playing it? Fear. Fear of not being loved, fear of abandonment. The strongest manipulation isn't done through yelling, but through the quiet guilt that makes you believe you owe something, even if it's costing you internally. Manipulators don't need to control you directly, they just need you to keep reacting as you always have. But once you stop, once you respond with silence instead of explanation, with boundaries instead of apologies, the mask falls. Their projections collapse. And that's terrifying, for them. Because now, they must face themselves, and many are not ready. Your unavailability becomes a mirror they didn't want. Your silence reveals the internal chaos they've long ignored. That's when the backlash begins. The guilt trips, the drama, not because you're wrong, but because you stopped reflecting the image they wanted. Jung wrote, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." When you step away, their shadow comes to the surface, and it terrifies them, especially those who always used you as a distraction. But what about you? Are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, even criticized, for finally protecting your energy? Because it's in that silence after the storm that true power is born. And that's what we'll discuss next, how silence becomes the most potent psychological force, reshaping your relationship with the world. The modern world is a noisy battlefield. Everyone's desperate to speak, to argue, to prove their point, even at the expense of peace. But there's a form of power most people overlook: true silence. Not the silence of fear or passivity, but one that is deliberate, aware, razor sharp. Jung didn't see silence as emptiness. He saw it as fertile ground where real transformation begins. In silence, you begin to see. You detect patterns, recognize manipulation, and break cycles. Ever noticed how some panic when you don't reply? When you don't explain? When you vanish? It's not your absence they mourn, it's the fact that your silence disrupts their illusion of control. As long as you speak, they're still in the game. But once you fall silent, the game ends, and they don't know how to play anymore. Silence is not weakness. It's not detachment. It's mastery of your own energy. It's choosing not to be dragged into drama that doesn't serve you. Individuation, Jung taught, requires this step back, because only in silence can you truly hear yourself, without the world's noise. But silence comes at a price. People who relied on your utility will leave. Those who only saw your reflection will lose interest. You'll be called cold, distant, arrogant. But that says more about them than you. As you mature, you speak less. Because you realize your words are an investment of energy, and not everyone deserves access to your truth. Sometimes silence isn't withdrawal, it's sovereignty. It's the language of someone who no longer needs to explain their worth. And it's often the most uncomfortable for others, because it forces them to face their own chaos, without your noise to distract them. But the most profound silence isn't the one that disturbs them, it's the one that rebuilds you. The silence that reconnects you with your core, with your power. Because true strength isn't just setting boundaries, it's having the discipline to maintain them. If you like the video, then please like, share, and subscribe.